Well, as you all know, we're still mourning the loss of Jay Briscoe. More of that will be talked about in our news updates. Apparently, more information has come out about that. However, we will be reviewing for today GLEAT with G Pro Wrestling version 42, aka the Origins. As you know, we have a brand new G Rex champion, but however, it appears that our champion's new faction seems like they're making their headways to dominate. So we'll be discussing about that too. And of course, we had a surprise appearance from a Joshi wrestler. We had a suspicious feeling that she'll make an appearance, but we did not expect this one. But also, we cannot forget AEW Dynamite. As you know, they are in Fresno for the first time. We have, of course, the TNT Championship on the line between Darby Allin and, of course, one of the best junior heavyweights in New Japan. We're talking about Kushida. And there's many other matches we're definitely going to be talking about. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted WrestleZone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, let's begin with GLEAT with their with their latest show, G Pro Wrestling version 42, the Origin. This was a very interesting show to me. Now, it opened up, of course, with Black Generation International. As you know, this is a brand new faction that was formed since Kaito Ishida became the G Rex champion the last show we saw. However, you can guess by the expression that now that they have that title on the line, they are determined to say they run the entire promotion. However, we have seen in the past how many of the other factions, such as Strong Stronghearts and Bulk Orchestra, have tried to fight who actually runs the promotion. However, Bulk Orchestra will not allow that to happen since they like to ruin their party. Not to mention, don't forget, we have two of their members who are currently the G Infinity Tag Champions. I'm pretty sure, as a fan, that Black Generation International, or should I just call it BGI, would love nothing more than to have those titles to prove a point that they are in fact in control. Now, speaking of that, let's get started with our first matches. Our first match we have Jun Toncho from 60 Seconds taking on, of course, Bark Orchestra and one half of the G Infinity Tag Champions, Czech Shimatani. I thought this match was pretty good because, as you know, um, Bulk Orchestra are trying to get back on track since, of course, BGI are are making their moves anyway. But it was, of course, Czech who picked up a pretty good, impressive win against Toncho. I don't think Toncho would have thought it was going to happen, but it did. Now, our next match, we have Kaicho Sato, another member of 60 Seconds. He takes on Yu Iizuka. Now, Yu Iizuka has been very impressive. He was more of the lesser wrestler we have seen over time. Not to mention, he had a great, impressive match in the UWF Rules match, the last show. But this time, he put himself through the test. He put Keiichi Sato in a somewhat of a suplex slam, or I don't know. That's the right term. I think that was impressive, and he picked up a very good win. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone is looking onto him, hopefully to join into a faction. We're not sure if that's the case that would happen. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Izu Onitsuka versus Utani from BGI. Now, this is the battle between Strong Hearts and Black Generation International. However, this was a pretty good intensive match. The way I see it, Strong Hearts are trying to remain their status as one of the strongest factions within the promotion itself, but Black Generation International are the one promotion are making their moves to try to control the promotion under their way. But it was, of course, Utani with the Death Valley driver that finished off Onitsuka, giving him the win. Now, our ladies, the Joshi wrestlers. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. So anyway, oh yeah, the Joshi girls take their positions now to take the stage. We have Michiko Miyagi versus the founder of World Woman Pro Wrestling, Diana. We're talking about Kyoko Inoue. This was a very interesting match because I know how Michiko has been one of the strongest Joshi wrestlers in GLEAT. As you know, she was the first and only girl until they started having freelancers come by. I thought it was a pretty good match, but however, it did not go exactly in Michiko's way. She ended up losing to Inoue with the sitting power bomb, 1, 2, 3. Now, as much as the match was good, that was not the excitement that we expected. Out of the blue, for all you guys who know I do this all the time, we had a surprise visit from none other than the eel herself, Unagi Sayaka. That's right, folks. Unagi made her presence known in GLEAT. It doesn't take a true genius why she's there. Now, keep in mind, since Unagi went freelancing, her purpose is to assess every Joshi wrestler in Japan. And I think Michiko Miyagi is one of them. However, Michiko's been backed up by two of her fellow Joshi wrestlers. We're talking about Mae Fukuda, who would do anything for her. And not to mention, we had the return of Yukari Hosokawa, who we haven't seen for quite some time. Hosokawa has revealed that she, oh, excuse me, that she's now finished with her exam and passed her exams, and now she's back. So it appears now she would, since she's defending Michiko, it appears now that Unagi is very interested in her, so she's going to assess her. That match will take place on February 15th. Um, you probably guessed yourselves why did I thought that I was going to that she was going to be in GLEAT. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure because GLEAT's a different type of promotion away from what we've seen so far. But who knows? I was hoping either Pro Wrestling Waves or Seedling or Pure J. I don't know which one, but I thought it was one of those ways. But I didn't think GLEAT would be one of those. But I guess she surprised me. So it's only a matter of time until we see Unagi maybe face off Mai Fukuda, and not to mention Michiko Miyagi. So if that match between those two could happen, it could happen at a bigger event. But we'll stay apprised of that soon enough. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have the leader of 60 Seconds, Tetsuya Izushi, teaming up with Minoru Tanaka, taking on Yusuke Kodama and Masato Kamino, being accompanied by Takanori Ito. It was very interesting to see Kodama be there. Normally, we've seen him in All Japan Pro Wrestling, but I'm not sure if there's any indications that he's planning to leave or he's going freelancing, just back and forth. I'm not sure yet on that. But it was a pretty good match. It was, of course, a surprising win. It was basically when Izushi had, Tanaka had Kodama right where he wanted the pin. Somehow Kamino shows up and helped to overturn it, but it was Kodama with a crucifix that allowed them to win the match. So it was very interesting. I think Izushi and Tanaka couldn't believe that they lost in a fashion they did not expect like that. So we'll keep apprised of that. Now our next match is a semifinal. This one is of course, the battle between the two factions. As you know, I mentioned Bulk Orchestra has been one of the most top factions in GLEAT. However, BGI are now coming out of the woodworks, trying to make a name for themselves. So we have for Bulk Orchestra, we have Kazuma Sakamoto, Quiet Storm, and Hayato Tamura taking on BGI's Kotaro Suzuki, Hartley Jackson, and Kaito Ishida. Now you probably can guess that this match it's all about who runs the promotion itself. That's always been the case. We've seen that before. Like even before we had 60 seconds before they made their appearance. It's always been the battle of that. But now here's this new group are doing that. But in the end of this match, it was of course a Maestro by Suzuki to Quiet Storm to finish off the match. However, you can guess that this is war between Bork Orchestra and BGI is not even done. The only thing I'm waiting for is the leader of forgot his name, Kiwahari, will come back, try to deal with Ishida's, um, you know, um, with him getting involved in this. So we'll see what happens. Now for our main event, we have Strong Hearts consistent of El Lindaman, T-Hawk, and Shima taking on Kaz Hayashi, Soma Watanabe, and Takanori Ito. Now, it's kind of strange to see El Lindaman without the belt, despite the fact that he lost it, but it was rather interesting. So El Lindaman hasn't lost his touch, from what I can tell. I know he's disappointed that he lost a match like that in that fashion with Ishida. Ishida's always been trying to prove that he wanted power and all this other stuff. But the way I see it, I like how this match ended with, of course, T Hawk applying a single leg Boston Crab. However, something interesting took place. Now, as you know, we always talked about the factions in this promotion every single time. It started out with two, or it started with one, and then later two, so on and so on. First, it was Strong Hearts, then Bulk Orchestra, then 60 Seconds, and now BGI. It appears we may get a new faction than we think because it turns out that Takanori Ito seems like he's forming a faction of his own with Yusuke Kodama and Masato Kamino. So it's still unclear what the name is going to be, but I'm sure we will see that soon enough. But of course, all the other factions showed up, like BGI, who are saying they are in control. 60 Seconds, who cannot tolerate black BGI, especially Izushi on Takeda, who attacked them on various occasions. And then, of course, Bork Orchestra, who will not allow a BGI to try to act that they rule the entire promotion. So basically, we got all these battles of different factions. So we'll see where this one's going to go because it's kind of exciting how things are now growing and progressing with the promotions since they've been around for almost 2 years or 3 years. I don't know, but we'll see. I think that's pretty much it with GLEAT. I believe it's time for AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite opened up with, of course, as expected, with saying in memory of Jay Briscoe. That's something to expected. Uh, I will talk about by the end of this part of this review what AEW plans. Um, Possibly this is something you guys may be interested. So let's get started with our opening match. This is the All Atlantic Championship match between Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal. Now, however, earlier in the day, because of their antics, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh were being told about an ultimatum. However, they're saying that they no longer have manager license because they kept getting involved. Bryce Rinsberg, one of the refs, and the rest of the referee corps went to Tony Khan to tell them they can't stand these guys from getting involved, costing matches that they should be officiating. Not to mention, Jerry tried to act like things that he has no say in it. But however, apparently, Dutt, uh, Dutt, Singh, and Jarrett were banned from being ringside. But here's the best part: Bryce Remsburg warned that if anybody touches anybody, then Sanjay Dutt will be fired. So basically, it just teaches them a lesson. However, when we thought it couldn't get worse, we know that somehow they had a plan. They said they bought tickets, so they thought that was going to work in their favor. Not to mention the best moment, Danhausen grabs the guitar, and of course, Lito tries the follow up. And of course, we did see the best friends eating popcorn and all that stuff. But it took a bit of while until Jay Lethal was knocked out with the orange punch and have Orange Cassidy to retain the title. However, of course, Sanjay Dutt is running scared, knowing that if Singh or Jarrett try to hurt anybody, he's the one who has to pay the price. So basically, he's trying to convince them, no, guys, don't do it. So they're running scared. So we'll see how this one goes down in the story. I think the storyline is pretty awesome. Now, our next match, we have the Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin taking on the Young Bucks. Now, this is a very interesting match. Now, keep in mind, the Bucks haven't had a singles tag team match since in many months. So that kind of tells us how much ring rust do these guys have from then. However, also the X factor in this, the Bucks do have a win over Top Flight. But this also tells us how much, how do I say it? How much has Top Flight evolved since then? We know they have some very impressive wins in the last few matches they had. I think this one will put them to the test, and I think it kind of did, in my opinion. It showed the resiliency from Top Flight that they're not going to give up until they pick up that one win against one of the best tag teams in the world. And of course, when we thought things were going the Bucks way, they try to apply the V trigger. It did not work on their favor, but it was Darius who did a roll up onto Matt Jackson to pick up a win. It was a huge upset. I don't think anybody anticipate that. I know there are many who will talk about it's only a matter of time until they are now in the top of discussion for the AEW tag team constituency. That is something that will possibly can happen. It's only a matter of time of when. Now, originally we were supposed to hear from the Acclaim, but out of nowhere we see the Guns, or as we know them, the Ass Boys, who are feeling that they are the best tag team in the world. Look, this is the way I see it. They don't have tag team titles at the moment. They can't possibly call themselves tag teams. They're saying they're the ones who defeated FTR. No, they were feeling like they cannot do it. But of course, the Acclaim shows up, did little raps. But Billy Gunn, who had enough of this whole thing, decided to play a little tough love attitude, that they're going to hash this out in 2 words, as he said. And it's not those 2 words: family therapy. I'm like, And of course, Tony Schiavone says that's going to be a lot of therapy. So we'll see what happens then. Now, Renee Paquette took a interesting interview with Hangman, talked about, certain things. How is he feeling? I know many people will probably question because of his concussion he had not too long ago. And he said he feels great. He's doing good. He's not complaining. But I think this one, it was very interesting for him because you can say that possibly it was over for him. He even indicated that he has some things that he needs to mend fences with. We don't know what that means, but we'll find out soon enough. But Renee Paquette did ask, well, he did ask her, how's John Moxley doing? He said he's doing okay, but we'll see how that plays out. Now, our next match, we have Jake Hager, the one who loves that hat, taking on absolute Ricky Starks. Now, of course, the X Factor JSA is going to be there trying to ensure the match goes in their way, because that's the sports entertainer way, but it did not do any justice for them at all. Basically, Jake Hager accidentally pump kicked Angelo Parker, but it was Ricky Starks with a spear onto Jake Hager to win. However, Ricky was smart enough to make a run for it, knowing that the numbers game, it was just too much. Now, however, because right now they lost this particular match, Jericho Appreciation Society has made it perfectly clear that they're not going to let this stand. So Jericho said that he put himself for next week, teaming up with Sammy Guevara to take on Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. However, Daniel Garcia did stated that he is going to face Action Andretti this coming Friday on Rampage. However, um, Sammy Guevara put out this little secret. If he beats Action Andretti, then he's going to allow um, Garcia to team up with Jericho when they take on Andretti and Starks. And of course, as you know, Jericho and Sammy are known as La Sex Gods, but when it comes to him and Garcia, they call themselves Garcia Co. That's kind of weird, but yeah. But we'll see when that day happens. Now, our next match, we have Bryan Danielson versus Bandito. Man, that match was great. I have to say, it was a pretty interesting one. Don't forget, these two men are two former Ring of Honor World Champions. And I think this is a little fitting. Now, forget about what you think about Bandito. Oh, he's going to do high spots. No, guys, this guy has strength for his size, so don't count him out. I think he tried to apply the 21 suplex thing twice, but the second time failed. I thought it was pretty impressive, but however, it was the Busaiku knee onto Bandito put him away, giving Bryan Danielson the win. However, MJF put out a little video to send a direct message to Bryan Danielson, you know, saying all this stuff to him, you know how MJF is, but you know for a fact he is not going to tolerate Bryan Danielson. But later it did revealed in an interview that Brian Cage is going to be the next opponent against Bryan Danielson. But MJF told Bryan Danielson, telling him, I don't care if you win. I don't care if you lose. Just break his arms. So he even slapped him in the face to give him motivation. So basically, he wants him to try to hurt him as much as possible before anything else. So we'll see how that plays out in this matter. Now, interesting situation is taking place in the women's division. As you know, we're getting a new type of battle between the AEW originals against the wrestlers that came from other places, such as Toni Storm, and Saraya was one of them. Now, keep in mind, Britt Baker says that she's the boss, that she's not going to tolerate people like Saraya and Toni Storm. But not to mention, we did see Hikaru Shida what happened. Now, we know Shida cannot tolerate Britt Baker's antics one way or the other. But of course, Toni Storm, she is set to face against Willow Nightingale. I thought this match was pretty good. However, in the match, we saw Saraya distract the referee a little bit, but however, it was of course a roll up by Toni Storm onto Willow Nightingale to win. Then all of a sudden, they were beating down Willow Nightingale, but here comes Ruby Soho to help Willow Nightingale, and I think Saraya and Toni Storm were a bit of shock to see that. I think what this story is telling us, now we're seeing a different type of war between the AEW originals versus the outsiders. Something similar that we are seeing in Japan with the Joshi wrestlers in Japan. I will probably do a discussion about that. Try to discuss why these storytellings are all about the OGs versus the outsiders. So we'll explain more about that some other time. But you can guarantee that this thing between Ruby Soho and Will Nightingale will progress. Probably Saraya is going to question Soho. Why is she aligned herself with an AEW original? I think, in my opinion, Ruby doesn't care if you're original or not. All you care about, you get to make friends who you think, oh, they're cool to hang out. Not to mention, Willow Nightingale got the respect from Ruby Soho after that street fight that took place last week on Rampage. So we'll see about that. Now, when we thought things with Jungle Boy was done with the firm, well, apparently things did not go well because Jungle Boy embarrassed Stokey Hathaway when he submitted Lee Moriarty, and not to mention Jungle Hook T-Bone suplex Big Bill Morrissey. But however, Stokey Hathaway decides to get the big guns, and he's talking about Ethan Page. So basically, Now Ethan Page is gunning for Jungle Boy. Now Renee Paquette actually does an interview with, of course, the the wrestling phenom to Konosuke Takeshita. He knows that he lost, but he said he learned a few things, and he said that Bryan Danielson is his hero. But he said something to MJF in Japanese, and later it was translated into he's an asshole. I don't know if that's what translates because it felt a little longer than that, but that was a good pun right there. Now, our next match, we have the TNT title in an open challenge. We have Kushida making his AEW Dynamite debut. He's been accompanied by the members of the LA Dojo, Kevin Knight and DKC. And here comes Darby Allin with Sting. I thought this match was going to be interesting because you got to remember, uh, Kushida does have a bit of the MMA background. He was trained by Tajiri. I thought it's going to be a very impressive match because you know the resiliency with Darby Allin. He's the kind of guy who say never say die, and I think that tells the story about him. But the young lions were trying to have Sting to throw in the towel. Sting's not going to do that. He's not going to piss off Darby Allin by doing that. He knows Darby Allin. He knows that he's not going to quit no matter what they think. Darby Allin is very resilient until you thought things were going to go exactly Kushida's way, but somehow Darby applied the Last Supper. That was a move you don't expect, and he retained the title. But he did. But right in the end, they received some respect. Kushida even says that he would like to go at it with him one more time. So it's only a matter of time until we see that. Just to let you guys know, Darby Allin will be on his way to Japan real soon. This on the 22nd, he and Sting will team up with the Great Muta to have the Great Muta's final match, and it'll be bye bye. Now, also, this was revealed. Now, as you know, we have the Rampage show taped after Dynamite. It was also told they are going to do a tribute show for Jay Briscoe. Apparently, Tony Khan made this happen, calling some people at the last minute to do this, and I think it's very touching. Now, I don't know if this will be aired either on YouTube or something. I don't know. I will find out soon enough until we get there. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW. So let's just go on to some news updates. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we're still dealing with the loss of Jay Briscoe. More information has come out of the woodworks about what happened to Jay Briscoe. So this is what we're being told. Another car was involved in this and hit Jay Briscoe's car, but what was also told, Jay Briscoe was not wearing his seatbelt. Apparently, that was what caused the death. However, things got a little worse than we anticipated. You couldn't imagine. It turns out that Jay Briscoe was not alone in this car. Many people thought, what if Mark was in that car? No, he wasn't. Um, his daughters were. His eldest daughter had some serious injuries. They had to send her to hospital. Apparently, that she has an injury in her back, which is very serious. And of course, Jay's wife is asking everybody to throw in some prayers for the idea. Hopefully, she can able to walk. I mean, this is like one of the most scariest things ever. I mean, I cannot imagine what Jay's wife is going through. You know, she just lost her husband. She cannot lose her daughters at all. That's the one thing that is the scariest thing to go through. Um, the Delaware State Police are going to say they're going to do an investigation on this. The initial thought about this is they're saying that they wanted to rule out if there was any intoxication involved in this. Now, that's also something that could be something that could possibly happen, but we don't know yet until they continue on. However, not only because of this accident took place, as you know, January 18 is also another sad moment is also the birthday of Mark Briscoe, and I just don't know what he's going through. I mean, Mark lost his brother the day before, but the day after is his birthday. I just cannot imagine what Mark Briscoe is going right now, losing his brother this way. I'm sure that he's not ready to talk about it. I'm sure he wants some time to reflect and think about it. Uh, as you all know, Briscoes they were the tag champions. There's still no indication if those titles that they currently held, the House of Glory tag team titles, the Ring of Honor tag team titles, if they're going to be vacant. So we will find out soon enough what decisions these companies will make for that. I'm sure there's going to be a tournament for an ROH tag team title, so that is something we will pay attention to. So, last thing, prayers for Jay Briscoe's daughters. Now, as you know, recently we just were found out that WWE are no longer going to be having any of the independent wrestling content, such as Progress Wrestling, Evolved, and WXW, and a few others. It appears on Twitter, ICW put out something that, like a statement or so. Let me pull that up. Yeah, here it is. ICW's contract with W has come to an end. A new episode will air on YouTube every day at 5 p.m. GTM from now until Thursday, January 26th. ICW and Demand subscribers already have access to 5 new episodes, with 4 more due to the air on by Tuesday, January 24th. Our ICW Fight Club event on Sunday the 29th will air on Facebook and YouTube. So apparently they are making moves already now that they're no longer working with under contract with WWE. So it's going to be a good thing to see that they're going to move forward. No statements yet from XWXW and Progress yet, but I'm sure there'll be um, interesting developments from them from now on, since they're no longer in contract with WWE or Peacock or whatever they're in. Interesting developments in WWE. As you know, Roman Reigns has surpassed Gunther, formerly known as Walter, as a NXT UK champion for 870 days. It seems like he's the much longer wrestler to face. So this is interesting news. So we don't know when. We do know there's talks about splitting the titles for Roman Reigns, but that will be another discussion. Tanahashi, as you know, the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's just revealed that he has renewed his contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's rather interesting because we have seen so far other wrestlers like Jay White, Tama Tonga, that their contracts with New Japan it will be expiring. We haven't heard anything if they're going to be renewing that. This is what we do know. Tanahashi revealed on his blog that he visited New Japan offices, renewed his contract with the company in terms the deal were not disclosed. Of course, Tanahashi made his debut back in 1999, rising up to the ranks as the ace of the company, and this and that. He was teamed up with Keiji Muto and Shota Umino recently. We don't know for sure if he's making another play for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We'll just wait and see where is this going to go. Now, as you know, in pro wrestling, I did mention Jake Lee, who originated from All Japan Pro Wrestling, has now no longer part of the promotion, made its way to Pro Wrestling Noah. It appears he has new intentions, and he aligned himself recently with Jack Morris. However, it appears that we're going to have a brand new unit or faction in Noah. It's going to consist not only with Jake Lee and Jack Morris, but also Anthony Green, who you also knew in NXT as August Gray. They're calling themselves Good Looking Guys, or GLG for short. I want to see how this will progress between all 3 of them, because we have 2 Gaijin wrestlers team up with a Japanese wrestler, so this is going to be a very interesting development. DEFY Wrestling is announced for their upcoming event in March On Top Flight will be making their appearance. This is going to be a huge thing for them. As you know, DEFY is one of the best promotions out of the Washington area, but I'm looking forward to it. As you know, we have, of course, the New South Pro Wrestling with the Haas match to take place later on. They announced for the next entrant, the sixth entrant, we have Alec Price. This is going to be interesting to see. Now, for our GCW updates, we have for Take a Picture that will take place real soon this weekend. We have Gringo Loco versus Aries. Then after that, we have the GCW versus New South. There's going to be a title match in play for the New South title. We're going to have Kenzie Page, who is champion of that promotion, will take on Billy Starks. And of course, we got Jordan Oliver versus Tyler Franks. It's going to be, I don't know much about this, but I'm looking forward to this. Now, for our final update, if you guys are big fans of the Joshi wrestler Saori Anou, Fightful Select has put out an interview about her, how she got involved in pro wrestling, what got her into this, who would she like to wrestle, this and that, practically everything. So it's really good stuff. So I will put that link on the description down below so you guys can check it out if you're interested, if you're big fans of Saori Anou. I think that's pretty much it right now for our news updates. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we will not forget about MLW Fusion. We don't know what things are going to take place. As you know, certain things has been taped with MLW, but we're yet to see some current developments with the MLW World Champion, his opponent for that title, Injay Duka, and many other things. So we'll find out. As you know, we're gonna see what's gonna take place in Impact Wrestling from then on and on. If there's any other shows I'm gonna be reviewing, I will do those as soon as possible. But right now, let's just stick with what we got. I'm gonna wing it as much as possible. So let's just leave it as that for now. I will be working on the discussion about invasions in other promotions. So that's something we definitely would like to talk about because I find it very interesting because I've been watching some of the Joshi wrestlers promotions are saying they're being invaded. That's something to have a little good discussion about. So, I'll see you guys in next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.